Okay, so in this lecture, we start with the sequences. Okay, sequences of real numbers. So, in the previous lecture, we had completed with our point set theory, where we had studied the Henny-Borel theorem. After completing these topics, which are kind of very necessary, we might be moving on to some more advanced topics such as spheres, balls, metric spaces, and so on. Okay, I will try to complete those also. Let us first talk about what is a sequence. Achha, before understanding sequence, I guess you people already know what is a mapping, right? So mapping is denoted as F A to B. So what does this mean? Elements of A are mapped to B, right? Elements of A are mapped to B. Achha. So a sequence is basically a mapping from set of natural numbers to the set of real numbers. Okay. That is, the codomain is the set of reals and the domain is the natural numbers. Any arbitrary function, if you have, which maps elements of any arbitrary set to the set of reals, then such functions are called real valued functions. Such functions are called real valued functions. Okay. And if in a real valued function you have the domain as the set of naturals, then such functions are called sequences. Okay. Acha, what basically means sequence? The sequence is basically, if you kind of arrange the images of this particular function, okay, sequentially, sequentially, the first image, I mean you see, since you have the domain as natural numbers, so the domain values move as 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? So image, I mean the map of 1 is placed first, then the map of 2, then the map of 3, and so on. Okay, so sequential arrangement, if you kind of perform, then the resultant figure is called a sequence. Basically, sequences are denoted with x. So x from n to r, okay, and x of n is equivalently written as x subscript n. This is the main conventional way of writing a sequence. Okay, so you have, say, x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, and so on. If you arrange them sequentially without changing the order of the domain, okay, then such sequential arrangement is called a sequence. Clear? Got it. There is one more term related to these sequences called range. You know, see how these sorts of the notation of sequences is written like this: xn, such that n belongs to the set of naturals. Okay, so this basically means this sequence. But in some cases, authors also tend to write range of a sequence in this form. Okay, but they are basically different. So understand what is happening. Suppose we have this sequence. Let's say you have a function from n to r such that xn is equals to 1 over n. Okay, so what is the sequence basically? So 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4, and so on, right? Clear? So what is the, so this is basically the sequence, and what is the range of this sequence? What is the range? Range is basically the set of all images, right, of a function. So basically these are only the images of the function x, right? So the range will also be this sequence only: 1, 1 comma 2, 1 comma 3, and so on. So in this case, the range and the sequence are identical. But what happens if you have a sequence of this sort? Let's say you have x from n to r such that xn is equals to 1 if n is odd, minus 1 if n is even. Okay. So what is the sequence now? So 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, right, and so on. So this is the sequence you have. But will the range be same as this? No, the range here only be 1 and minus 1. This is the range, because only these two are the images which this function can have, right? So here the range and the sequence are getting different. So don't get confused between range and the sequence, they are different. Clear? Acha. Okay. Now, there are a few important topics related to these sequences. For example, what is a monotonic sequence? Acha, first let us discuss what is a bounded sequence. Let's say what is a bounded sequence. Bounded sequence. So till now we have already studied what is an upper bound, what is a lower bound, when a set is called bounded, when a set is called bounded, has an upper bound, when it's called having an upper bound, when it is having a lower bound, when it's called bounded. These topics we already know. Okay. And carefully notice that whenever we are forming a sequence, we are forming that as a set, right? We are considering that as a set. Okay. Set of elements we are basically having, right? For example, the sequence 1 comma 1 over 2 comma 1 over 3 and so on. So we can see that if you take any arbitrary nth element from it, this is always less than equals to 1, right? So we can basically say that this sequence has an upper bound or is bounded by 1. Okay, is bounded by 1 because 1 is behaving as an upper bound here. So 1 is an upper bound to this, 1 is an upper bound to this, right? 1 is an upper bound. Gradually we'll also come to know that this sequence has a lower bound. Lower bound as 0. Any member of the sequence, any member of the sequence will basically be greater than 0. Any member of the sequence will basically be greater than equal to 0. Got it? So it is bounded both above and below, right? Bounded above by 1, bounded below by 0. You can call like this. So 0 and here 1. Okay. So these sorts of sequences are called bounded sequence. If you have an upper bound to the sequence, if you have a lower bound to the sequence. Upper bound basically meaning if you have some real number, not mandatory that the real number must belong in this same sequence itself. The real number can be outside the sequence also. Okay, but if there exists a real number such that every nth element of this particular sequence is less than equal to that, then we call that as an upper bound of the sequence, and converse for the lower bound. For example, let's say this is one of the very fine example, right? This is a very fine example. For example, if you have this set, let's say xn is equals to 1 plus 1 over n whole to the power n. Okay, this is bounded above by 3 and below by 2. Below by 2. This basically belongs to this interval. Okay. This is a very very interesting one. Okay. If you put limit n tends to infinity here, you people already know this, I guess. You have studied in the +2 level. You get E, right? You get E. Acha. These are a. Acha, what is this limit? I will be coming to that later. I will be coming to that. Okay. Acha. So this is what a bounded sequence means. Okay. Acha, there is one more thing called a monotonic sequence. Let us also discuss that. What is a monotonic sequence? Monotonic sequence. Okay. So, if there exists a sequence, let's say xn, okay, such that xn plus 1 is greater than equals to xn for all n belongs to the set of naturals, then xn is said to be monotonically increasing. Is said to be monotonically increasing. Clear? That is every consecutive element greater than some arbitrary element. Suppose for example xn1 is the next consecutive element, upper consecutive element to xn, that will either be greater than xn or will be equal to xn. Clear? For all n belongs to natural numbers. And if such a condition appears, then xn is said to be monotonically increasing. If xn plus 1 is less than equals to xn for all n belongs to the set of naturals, then xn, sorry, I missed this symbol. Then xn is said to be monotonically decreasing. Okay, monotonically decreasing. Got it? Clear? Okay. Acha. If xn plus 1 is greater than xn, that is the equality is no more there, then the sequence is said to be strictly increasing. Is said to be strictly increasing. And if xn plus 1 is less than xn for all n belongs to the set of naturals, okay, for all n belongs to the set of naturals, then xn is said to be strictly decreasing. Strictly decreasing. Got it? Clear? This much? Okay. So this is what monotonically increasing and monotonically decreasing sequences mean, right? For example, if you have this sequence, if you have this sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if you take any xnth element, you will find that it is always less than the next element to it, right? So this sequence is a strictly increasing sequence. This sequence is a strictly increasing sequence. For example, you have a sequence like this, let's say 1 comma 2 2 comma 3 3 3 comma 4 4 4 4 4 and so on. If you have a sequence of this particular form, then what happens is basically see that every nth element is less than equals to xn plus 1th element, right? 2 is equals to 2. So if this is xn plus 1, this is xn. So this is equals to this, while this is greater than this. Just this is random example. Clear? This is what monotonically increasing and monotonically decreasing sequences mean. Got it? Now there are some properties related to this what we call monotonical increasing sequence. We will be talking about that after we have a conversation regarding convergence. So let us discuss what is the convergence of a sequence. Okay. So let's say convergence. Convergence of a sequence. Okay, a very, very interesting topic, a very, very important topic. Got it? Achha. So convergence of a sequence in simple terms mean that if you extend the sequence, you keep on extending a sequence, and what happens is that as you keep on extending it, its nth element gets trapped in the boundary, sorry, in the neighborhood, not boundary, in the neighborhood of some arbitrary real number. Okay. I mean, in the mathematical definition, it says like this that a sequence xn is said to be convergent, converging to x belonging to R if for all epsilon greater than 0 there exists some small n belonging to the set of naturals such that suppose this is n naught, okay, such that for all n greater than n naught, for all n greater than n naught, the mod of xn minus x is less than epsilon. Clear? For all n greater than n naught, the mod of xn minus x is less than epsilon. In some books, it is also written like this: n greater than n naught implies mod of xn minus x is less than epsilon. Clear? Clear? Okay. And also write here that n also belongs to the set of naturals. Okay, this much is clear. So what does this basically indicate? You can now carefully notice. So see, we have a sequence xn and we say that it converges to x. So what happens basically? That is for all positive for all positive real numbers, not integers, for all positive real numbers, if there exists some natural number n naught, such that whenever our sequence crosses that particular point, that particular natural number n naught, then what happens is that the element of the sequence xn gets trapped in the neighborhood of this value x, right? So basically, suppose this is x1, this is x2, this is x3, and so on. We are continuing. For example, say this is x naught, and as x, this series crosses this x naught, what happens is that every element, suppose this is x, you know, let's say this is x n naught plus 1, this is x n naught plus 2, and so on. So what happens is that this gets trapped in the neighborhood of x. Okay, it cannot move out from the neighborhood of x. When this happens, we consider this element whose neighborhood, in whose neighborhood the elements basically get trapped, basically, kind of. That particular element is called the converging element. Okay, the sequence converges to that element, we say. Also, you can consider it like this also, that the nth element of the sequence becomes an element of the epsilon neighborhood of x. Same thing, right, written here, right? Gets trapped in the neighborhood. Or basically you can also say it like this, that xn gets contained in the neighborhood. Anything, any mathematical term you can use. Basic meaning is this one. Clear? Now this definition is what we usually write as limit n tends to infinity xn is equals to x. Clear? Got it? This definition is basically written like as the limit n tends to infinity x of n, that is the nth element of the sequence, and if that equals x, then we say that the limit of the sequence is x, and this limit of the sequence is the element to which it converges to. Okay, this limit of the sequence is basically to which it converges to. Got it? This is all basically called the limit of a sequence, okay, to which the particular sequence converges as n tends to infinity. Clear? Acha. If you have a monotonic sequence, as I was telling just that there are some properties regarding the monotonic sequence. If you have a monotonic sequence, okay, monotonic sequence, which is bounded above, which is bounded above, then the sequence converges to its LUB, converges to its LUB. Got it? Least upper bound of its range, basically, of its range. Not you can directly of its range. LUB will be of its range, obviously. The least upper bound of its range. Clear? Acha. So I guess you people have already understood what is convergence. Okay. And see, now when is the sequence is said to diverge? If it is not converging, right? A sequence xn is said to diverge if it's not convergent. One more method of writing is this is basically that limit n tends to infinity xn is plus minus infinity. Okay, it either tends to plus infinity or tends to minus infinity. Clear? Got it? Is this example clear? Okay, so if you are ever asked to show that a sequence is convergent or divergent, if you're asked to show that whether the sequence is convergent or divergent, what you can do till now is that you can just find the nth element of the sequence and find its limit n tends to infinity. If that's a finite number, then it's convergent, converging to that particular number. If it's divergent, then you will get the limit as some plus or minus infinity. Clear? There are more ways to prove whether a sequence is converging or diverging. We will come to that later. First, this is the simplest portion. Acha. For example, if you are asked, these things are pretty easy to understand. For example, if you are asked that, you know, prove prove the following sequences converge. Following sequences converge. Okay, so what will you have? For example, the first one is given, say, let's say xn is equals to 1 over n. Okay, so how do you do it? So you just put limit n tends to infinity 1 over n, and we know from plus 2 level that this is basically 0. It's a finite number. So xn converges to 0. Okay, what is a graphical representation is something like this. For example, say this is 1, this is 1 by 2, this is 1 by 3, and they keep getting close. This is 1 by 4, and so on. They keep getting close, and we have an infinite numbers here till we reach 0. Okay, this forms an interval, right? We have infinite numbers inside this interval. They keep on decreasing, 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 and finally they reach 0. This is also an example of a monotonically decreasing sequence. Yeah. For example, you are given this sequence. Let's say this sequence, which we just had a conversation about. Xn is equals to 1 plus 1 over n whole to the power 1 by whole to the power n, right? Okay, so what will be the limit of this sequence as it tends to infinity? This comes out to be basically epsilon. Let us do it, let us prove it. So see how do we prove it. This is a very important limit. So let y is equals to 1 plus 1 by n whole to the power n. Putting log on both sides, what do we get? So log of y is equals to n times log of 1 plus 1 by n, right? This is what we get. Acha. From here, what can we say? Acha, what is the expansion of logarithm? Log of 1 plus x, you remember? Expansion of logarithm. Okay, I'm writing it. So, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me move a bit upwards. So, log, so I'm writing it in a different color, let's say. So, I'm writing it here, let's say. So, log of, or natural logarithm rather. Arey yaar, my pen is again just, why does it get a problem always? Yeah, I knew it. Okay. So, log of 1 plus x is basically equals to x minus x square over 2 plus x cube over 3 minus x to the power 4 over 4 and so on, right? This is what we have. Achha. Now see, so here you have 1 over n, right? So natural logarithm of 1 plus 1 over n will be 1 over n minus 1 over 2n square plus 1 over 3n cube minus 1 over 4n to the power 4 and so on. So what will be n times 1 plus 1 logarithm of 1 plus 1 over n? So this is 1 minus 1 over 2n plus 1 over 3n square minus 1 over 4n cube and so on, right? This is what you have. Now limit n tends to infinity, natural logarithm of y is equals to limit n tends to infinity, right? N times logarithm of 1 plus 1 over n, which is equals to n tends to infinity. This series 1 minus 1 1 minus 1 by 2n plus 1 over 3n square and so on, right? So we already know that limit n tends to infinity 1 over n is 0. So this becomes 0, this becomes 0, and every other element becomes 0. So from here, what do we basically get is the limit n tends to infinity, natural logarithm y is basically equals to 1, right? From here we can write that. So this is of no use now. From here we can write that y is equals to e to the power 1, that is e. Okay, and it's a finite number. So basically y is is converging to, clear? Y is basically converging to e. Limit of this sequence is e. Okay, and this is always bounded between 2 and 3. Is always bounded between 2 and 3. Okay, Is this part clear? Okay. So, acha, so these sorts of problems will be easily, kind of is basically easy to do. You can just find the limit of the sequence, and if it's finite, then you can say it converges. If it's infinite, you can say it is diverging. Now, how to prove that whether some limit is equals to some magnitude? I mean, if I say that prove limit n tends to infinity 1 over n is equals to 0. How will you do so? Now, to solve these sorts of problems, you need the definition of convergence. To solve these sorts of problems, you need the definition of convergence. Okay. Easy to do. Just see. Acha, see. First, let us do some rough work. So, if see 1 over n minus 0 is less than epsilon. So, how can we write this as? So, we can write that n is greater than 1 over epsilon, right? N is greater than 1 over epsilon. So, we need to choose some m. So, we need to choose some m such that m is greater than 1 over epsilon. Okay. So, now we can write it like this, that we can write it like this. For example, let's say, acha. So, let epsilon be greater than 0. Let there exist some n naught. Let this be n naught. That will be better because that's what we use in a definition. There exists some n naught belongs to a set of naturals such that n naught is greater than 1 over epsilon for all epsilon greater than 0. Why is it possible? Since the set of naturals is not bounded above. The set of naturals is not bounded above. Right. So we can always choose some natural number which is greater than 1 over epsilon. Clear? For all epsilon greater than 0. Therefore, for all n greater than n naught, for all n greater than n naught, what we have? So the nth element will be greater than 1 over epsilon, right? So from this, what we get, that n is greater than 1 over epsilon. What does that mean? That means that 1 over n is less than epsilon. That means mod of 1 over n minus 0 is less than epsilon, right? That means limit n tends to infinity 1 over n is equals to 0, right? Clear? Is the proof okay? Got it? So in this way, we basically prove sequences. Whether what is the limit of a sequence, we prove using the definition in this particular form. Okay. We have severe examples of this type. I am thinking of bringing one particular lecture regarding problems using definition in the next lecture. In this particular, let us complete the introductory portions. Got it? This is clear, I guess. This one is clear, I guess. One more thing which is very very important for sequences is that limit of a sequence is unique. Limit of a sequence is unique. Okay. What I mean is that if you have a sequence xn which converges to x as n tends to infinity, okay, there exists, so we can write it like this. If there exists some y such that xn also converges to y, then x is equals to y. Okay. Limit of a sequence is unique. Clear? We will see the proof of this in the next lecture because this lecture is already about 30 minutes long. Okay. We have some more properties regarding limits of sequences. Let us quickly go through those. Okay. The one more property of convergent sequences, you write it like this, write it as a theorem itself. That is, every convergent sequence, every convergent sequence is bounded. Clear? This is a theorem. Okay. Now, why can we call it as the sequence is bounded? For example, if some sequence, let's say xn, it converges to some x. Okay, it converges to some x. So basically we can say that xn is less than x plus epsilon, right? Because xn gets in the neighborhood of x. Similarly, we can also say that xn is greater than x minus epsilon, right? So it gets bounded between the x minus epsilon and the x plus epsilon. This is just an arbitrary, kind of uh, intuitive explanation. Properties of limits, if we talk about properties of limits of a sequence, properties of limits of a sequence. So these things you have already studied in the plus 2 level. This is just recapitulating that. So suppose xn converges to x and yn converges to y. So to your two different sequences. Then xn plus yn converges to x plus y. Okay, converges to x plus y. That is limit n tends to infinity xn plus yn is equals to limit n tends to infinity xn plus limit n tends to infinity yn is equals to x plus y. So you can basically say that the limit operation is kind of distributive. No, kind of say it. Same goes for the negative, right? If there's minus in between, so the same thing appears. Okay. For the product case also same thing happens. That is xn times yn. Okay, converges to xy. Clear? Xy. That is limit n tends to infinity xn is equals to limit n tends to infinity xn times limit n tends to infinity yn. Okay, that is equals to x times y. Furthermore, kind of a corollary of this particular statement only, that is the sequence xn over yn converges to x by y not equals to 0 as n tends to infinity. Same thing which we wrote here, right? Got it? Okay, understood this one? So, one more you have, which is the constant multiplier property. Okay, so it says that k times xn, this sequence converges to kx as n tends to infinity. Clear? These are the limit properties, algebraic properties of limits. Okay, there is something which is called the order properties of limits. Okay, in which we have a famous theorem regarding limit, which is called the sandwich theorem, right? So we also discussed that also. Let's say the order properties of limits. Okay, so first thing is, if xn is less than equals to yn for the two given sequences xn and yn, we have already discussed that. For all n belongs to natural numbers, if this happens, then x is less than equals to y. Okay, the limit of xn is less than equals to the limit of yn. And furthermore, if there exists a sequence zn such that for all n belongs to natural numbers, xn is less than equals to zn is less than equals to yn. And if now here the we kind of modify a bit, okay, to make you understand the sandwich theorem. So here these x1 and this yn are two new sequences which we are just assuming for understanding this particular point only. So and if limit n tends to infinity xn is equals to limit n tends to infinity yn, say the limit is x, which is x. So both yn and xn, they both converge to x, right? Then limit n tends to infinity zn will also be equals to x. That is, if xn and yn they both converge to the same element, zn will also converge to that element only, provided this condition is true for all n belongs to natural numbers. Okay? This is called the sandwich theorem. Very important. Very important. Often, this is often used to solve some important limit proofs. Sandwich theorem often required. Okay. So is this part understood? Okay. Clear? Done. So in the next lecture, I will be talking about some important proofs regarding limits, which include the use of definition or include the use of simple limits, and then we will moving on to talk about the infinite series concepts. Okay, so meet you guys in the next lecture.